Hello, everyone. Welcome to my podcast. So, today we will be discussing the scope and the possibilities of predicting through the D10 chart, the Dashmansha chart. As we have done the understanding Navansha chart, this is the second in series of understanding the divisional charts in the Parashar system of astrology. All right, so first of all, the most important factor is that what is the scope of this chart. ये चार्ट क्या दिखा सकता है एट बेस्ट और क्या नहीं दिखा सकता बिल्कुल भी. What is out of scope of this chart? These two things have to be very very clear in order to understand the chart as in totality. Okay, so this is the 10th harmonic. So this is your the microscopic view of your 10th house. What is the 10th house? 10th house of your D1 chart is your status, obligation, your conduct in the society. How the society knows you, whether they know you as a successful person, as a failure, as an engineer, as an architect, as an astrologer, or you have a mystery around you, etc. etc. Now, the D1 Lagna chart and the 10th house of the D1 chart and the combinations and aspects and everything of the 10th house of D1 chart will give us a fair idea of what you will be doing out there in the society. What you will be doing outside of your house. घर के बाहर कैसा कंडक्ट है और क्या काम है वो D1 का 10th हाउस दिखाएगा. It will give you a broad material view. It is very important to understand it will only tell people or it will only tell you that what people know of you, whatever is out there, whatever is not out there, but that could still be a money making engine for you, will not be seen from the 10th house of the D1 chart or from the 10th house or from the D10 chart. For example, if you are a doctor and you also are a stockbroker and nobody knows about that. Nobody means nobody. Only your family knows, maybe 3 4 people know, that's it. Then that stockbroking as a side hustle or as a secondary career will not be seen from the 10th house. Okay, so the 10th house, now if you consult an astrologer and you ask him that, okay, what will I do, and that astrologer may not say that you are a stockbroker because it is not seen. It is just not seen. It is the 11th house with some connection with the 5th or the 8th or the 2nd, which is giving you a secondary source of income. But that is not your profession. Profession is what is known. Profession means what people call you as. This guy is a teacher or this guy is a land broker, etc. etc. So we get broad clues about your career. So, the difference is that what makes you money may not be your career, may not be your reason for interaction with the society. And if it is not the reason of your interaction with society, it will not be seen in the 10th house or the D10 chart. And that is very difficult to predict. It becomes a factor of Deshkal Paristhiti, where a lot of people are doing multiple things today. Back in the day, they were not doing multiple things. So we have to very simply see in the 11th house or in the 10th house if there is a duality seen, and then one can say, okay, you can make money in two ways or more than one ways. What is the other way can be seen from the 11th house, about that if 11th house is showing a way of generating money, which is not your profession, generating money without being known in the society. All right, so D1 10th house, material presence in the society, which leads to status and position and fame. D10 is the microscopic view of your D1. So by definition, what D1 can't show, D10 can't show. D10 cannot show anything in isolation. It's not like D1 is saying that you will be a farmer and D10 says you could be a cricketer. No, you will not be a cricketer. You will be a farmer only who has special physical abilities and is able to do a lot of job physically or because of his athletic ability. That's it. So D10 can only give us finer details of the broad boundary set by D1. The second layer of the boundary is in D9, which is where the 10th lord of D1 sits, and you can also see the 10th house of D9 to get a very blurred idea, just to get more clues. Then you can come to D10, which will tell us about your conduct and obligation in the society and how you deal with the society and how you are known in the society within the boundaries set by the D1 chart. तो मतलब सिंपल है कि D10 D1 को सरपास नहीं करेगा, ओवर रूल नहीं करेगा, ना ही कर सकता है. D10 D1 को कॉम्प्लीमेंट करेगा और D1 के ब्रॉड पैटर्न्स को फिल्टर करेगा, छोटा करेगा, in order to help the astrologer to make a better prediction. Number two, if you are yourself an astrologer, then D10 will only show you, give you the finer details. If you don't have to predict, it can give you the finer details. Like what kind of details, we will come to that. Okay. So important factors D10 के अंदर are the lagna of D10, very important. What you will do, who you are in your profession, is the lagna of D10, not the 10th house of D10. I've seen a lot of, and these days I've been also watching content on YouTube just to, you know, brush my thoughts up, or also to understand what people are saying, so that if I find something good, I can use it. If I find something horribly wrong, I can share with my listeners that no, this is not correct. This just does not work. So I have seen a lot of people, first of all, dealing with D10 in isolation, which is not correct. Number two, they say that the 10th house of D10 is what you do, which is not correct, which is incorrect. Not correct is incorrect. So that is incorrect. So we cannot go with that. The lagna of D10 acts as the 10th house of D1. So it is equal to, when predicting, जो 10th house of D1 दिखाता है कि okay, this guy could be an actor. So lagna of D10 will also show that, not the 10th house of D10. 10th house of D10 is the status or the position you get inside your organization or inside your career, inside your office, or if you are in the public life. Whether you are not in the public life or not is not a factor of D10 chart. It comes from the D1, then to D9, and then the D10 Lagna will confirm it. D10 Lagna will confirm whether you are in the public life or not. But the 10th house of D10 will show your status in the public life. If you are not in the public life, then it will show your status within your organization, your company, and how people see you within your company. Like the 10th house of D1 shows how the society views you, your perception in the society, or your image in the society. Like by that image, I mean that people will say, okay, this guy is a doctor. वही इमेज है ना जो आपका प्रोफेशन है. तो D10 का 10th हाउस, इफ यू आर एन इंजीनियर, विल शो अस दैट बाकी के लोग जो उस ऑफिस में काम करते हैं, हाउ विल दे व्यू यू, कि ये एफिशिएंट इंजीनियर है, बैड इंजीनियर है, अच्छा इंजीनियर है, लेजी इंजीनियर है, कैसा आदमी है, ये बहुत लोगों का बॉस है, ये बहुत लो लेवल है, या कैसा, या ही इज कम अप विद हिज ओन हार्ड वर्क, या ही वाज गिवन द सिल्वर स्पून. ये सब चीज़ें D10 का 10th हाउस से देखेंगे. ओके. अनदर इम्पॉर्टेंट फैक्टर टू बी सीन इन द D10 चार्ट इज द कारका ऑफ प्रोफेशन. द कारक ऑफ प्रोफेशन इज सैटर्न. सो D10 में सैटर्न का प्लेसमेंट is very important. ओके, सी सैटर्न कहाँ बैठा है, किस राशि में बैठा है, इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. किस हाउस में बैठा है इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, इररिस्पेक्टिव ऑफ द लग्न, बट सैटर्न किस राशि और किस हाउस में बैठा है ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. ओके, D1 का 10th लॉर्ड इंपॉर्टेंट है कि D1 का 10th लॉर्ड कैसा बैठा है, क्योंकि वही एक एनर्जी है जो, इट्स लाइक कि D1 में हमने उसको एक बड़े लेंस से देखा, फिर हमने और माइक्रोस्कोपिक व्यू में देखा, D9 में अब और भी ज़्यादा माइक्रोस्कोपिक व्यू से देख पा रहे हैं उसी लॉर्ड को, D1 के 10th लॉर्ड को. अगर मान लो वो सन है तो सन को हमने ब्रॉडली देखा D1 में, फिर थोड़ा माइक्रोस्कोपिक व्यू में देखा कि D9 में कहाँ बैठा है, फिर D10 में कहाँ बैठा है, हमें और भी ज़्यादा माइक्रोस्कोपिक व्यू ऑफ सन दिखाएगा. ओके, नाउ आई वुड ऑल्सो लाइक टू क्लियर वन मोर थिंग, कि लोग बोलते हैं कि हम नक्षत्र देखते हैं इन ऑर्डर टू इवेल्युएट अ प्लैनेट, कि भाई सन जो है वो पुनर्वसु में बैठा है तो वो क्या करेगा. सो नाउ माई वे ऑफ अंडरस्टैंडिंग दिस और सिंप्लीफाइंग दिस फॉर माई सेल्फ, I want to simplify astrology for myself so that I can make better predictions. And I can only make better predictions if I am able to assess the chart there and then. And I should not depend on my on any other book. I should depend on what I am seeing. Right? Only then I could be the best predictor. I will fail. Everybody fails. Even if an astrologer is correct 60% of times, he is a great astrologer in my opinion. 60 बहुत अच्छा है, 50 is still good. 20-30 पे आप प्रेडिक्शन कर रहे हो तो गलत है, फिर वो गड़बड़ है, then you are still learning. But 50 plus is very very good in today's day and age. So नक्षत्र की स्टडी, if you study nakshatra, essentially what you are studying is कि वो उस नक्षत्र का गॉड कौन है, डाइटी कौन है, उस नक्षत्र की डाइटी की हिस्टोरिकल स्टोरी क्या है, फिर उस स्टोरी को जो हमने पुराने ज़माने की स्टोरी सुनी, पढ़ी, और when that nakshatra, whatever story is associated, then we will try to interpret that story in the modern context to give a prediction. Because unless you put your understanding of the current world, if you can't predict, if you don't know what is happening in the society right now, you can't predict. So you have to first of all mug up that old story and then extrapolate that story to the current times and then make a prediction. And this mugging up can lead to leakages, you can forget, you can confuse yourself, and then when you bring it back to today's life, you can again confuse yourself in the modern context, and then there could be another leakage, and you could be predicting horrible, awfully wrong things because they don't exist. जो पहले होता था अभी नहीं होता है. So what my belief is that our rishis like Parashar Rishi has given us divisional charts which can be directly read in the modern context. Okay, and the placement of planets in different divisional charts is a factor of the nakshatra and the pada that planet is in. For example, if your planet is in Vishakha nakshatra around 22-23 degrees, it will go to Aries Navansha and Taurus Dashmansha. So you can quickly see that 10th lord is in Vishaka. You can have a broad area from Libra, which is Vikash Vishaka is in Libra. Forget Vishaka, just see the D1 Libra. Then you can see the D9 Mesh, and then you Aries, which is in D9, and then you can quickly come to the Dashmansha and see Taurus, and this will give you the exact overview of that planet, how it is acting in your material realm of D1 chart, in the psycho-emotional realm of D9 chart, and in the profession in the D10 chart. This is one way which is highly analytical. It's like how a physicist would work. It is cutting edge. It gives you direct, concrete, modern context readings. The other way is when you go and you deal with astrology like a historian deals with or an archaeologist deals with something, that you dig it deep, go back in time, and then say, okay, this happened to that person thousands of years back. All right, so if we have to bring this to life in today's times, in modern day and age, that guy got a his rath got broken, so maybe the car will be broken. No, I mean, it is all rubbish. It just doesn't fall into place for me. It 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 can fall into place for another astrologer, somebody whose mind is wired in a way that he can deal with this piece of information. But for me, being slightly analytical or technical in my understanding, for me, I see that the rishis have already simplified it out for us in D1, D9, D10, D7, whatever different divisional charts, which are a factor of the nakshatra. अगर नक्षत्र बदल दोगे, नक्षत्र का चरण बदल दोगे, तो डिविजनल चार्ट्स में प्लेसमेंट बदल जाएगा. तो why should I mug up the nakshatra rules and then fall prey to my own brain's capacity of mugging up things, and also my wiring, because I am wired in 2025. It is difficult for me to go back 5,000 years back and see a concept and then reinterpret it here. It is difficult. But when I see a horoscope and I am wired in today's times, it is very easy for me to see that and predict. Correct. This, if I think I've made myself clear. Another important factor which goes in the favor of not mugging up the nakshatra rules, the nakshatra stories, but seeing the divisional charts, is the very fact that the rishis have given us the divisional charts. So why do you want to mug it up? Uh, Number two is that the divisional charts are more comprehensive because it just does not show the Rashi placement. Because let's, as I just said, Vishaka example. So Libra D1, Aries, let's say D9, and Taurus D10. So the story will align with this. The nakshatra story will align with this placement, right? But the nakshatra story will miss out on the house placement, because this Aries in D9 could be the 10th house, could be the 11th house, depending on the lagna of D9. Similarly, the Taurus in D10 could be the 8th house, 9th house, 7th house, depending on the lagna of D10. Because the lagna will change for every individual. So the interpretation of a planet in a particular degree will change. But the story will not have your lagna in place. That is a broad story which was actually given to us to remember the laws, because story ke through you can remember things easily. But the way my mind functions, and because then it I mean the way my mind functions, I want to see a more modern picture and a holistic picture of the sign and the house both, and the aspects. Because remember, everybody says that you have to see all the divisional charts like a proper chart, then the aspects also mean a lot. But the story will not have any aspect, it will just be about one planet in that nakshatra, right? So this is why I say, when I am seeing the divisional charts in detail, essentially I am only seeing the nakshatra, but I am not calling it the nakshatra, I am calling it the divisional charts, because that is helping me to make better, brighter, stronger predictions, more convincing predictions in my own head. For a different astrologer, a different way, a different tool will work better. I always tell to my students also that astrology is about 500 tools which are given to us by the rishis. We have to use 5 or 6 or 10 tools which help us while dealing with different problems. Problem of career, use this tool. Problem of married life, use that tool. So we have to choose the tool we have to use. We cannot use all the tools. There is no need to use all the tools. We have to choose the tools which work best for us, which we have conviction on, and which will help us to predict, and which will not confuse us. And what will confuse us and what will not confuse us is different to each individual. Colors can be simple for me and somebody else could be confused in colors, you know. So that's how I go about it, and I make use of the divisional charts. I make use of the technology, which is technology. The softwares are able to give us the best calculations, correct calculations. I make use of that, and I let go of the nakshatra names because I don't see that helpful for me in my analysis. All right. So as I said, in D10, the ascendant is important, the karak is important, the 10th lord of D1 is important. Okay. Now let's just quickly see other overviews. So the first house of D10 will broadly show who you are. Okay. This has to be read side by side with the 10th house of D1. The second house of D10 will tell us your speech, your environment, and if you are doing your own business, it will give tell us the business bank accounts. If you are doing a job, it will not tell us about the bank account of the company, but it will not also tell you about your bank account. No, this is not your bank account. That's second of the D1. This will tell you about your speech and your environment, the way you speak within your organization or how much you speak, and the environment of the company where you are sitting. Number three is your communication within your. The third house is your communication patterns within your office or how you communicate at work. And it also shows your co-workers, the colleagues, the people, your team. It shows your team. The fourth house is your office, is where you sit. It's the home of your work. If you have a shop, it's your shop. If you work on whatever, wherever you work, it's your place of work. The fourth house. Okay. Uh, it also is your comfort at work. It shows how comfortable you are in your office. Is it a highly dynamic place, or is it very boring place? You know, and what kind of are you happy at will you be happy in your office emotionally? So, which is the fourth house. Uh, it can also show the fourth house can also show the larger workforce. So, because the fourth house of D1 is the masses, the fourth house of D10 is the larger work. Let's say your office has 5,000 employees. You don't deal with them, but it just shows that how many people are there and what is how are they. Okay. Uh, it also shows the boundaries. The fourth house is the boundaries. So it again shows the office, in the office building, in the shop, etc., where you function. The fifth house is your intelligence at work, your creativity at work. If you are into business, the fifth house will show the kind of brands you are able to build. If you are into a job, the fifth house shows how what kind of intelligence you bring forth, or how you are able to deploy your education and your learnings into work. Okay, the sixth house is your enemies at work, is the difficulties, the obstructions at work, all kinds of obstructions, disease, enemies, everything. It's the legal matters at work. If you're into business, the sixth house becomes important because if you have to deal with legal issues, that is important. And if you're into business, if you have a large company, the sixth house also shows your legal advisors and the legal workforce. Uh, so for lawyers, sixth house is important. For doctors, it is important. For businessmen, it is important. For normal office going people, sixth house simply shows the obstructions at work, arguments at work, disputes at work. This does not show the disputes at work, at your family life. No, only the work. The seventh house shows your partnerships, your partners. One person, mostly one or two equal partners. Third showed your colleagues. Seventh shows your equal partners. It can also show, if you're into business, it can show the business partner. It will not show your wife. Uh, the eighth house shows your strategic aptitude, strategy and research aptitude, again at work. The ninth house shows your leaders, your teachers, or your seniors at work. Shows the kind of ethics you follow or don't follow in your office. The 10th house of D10 shows your status, your acceptance amongst your co workers. It also shows how you are perceived within your office. The 11th house shows your gains, how fast you will grow. It can only show how fast you will grow at your in your organization. The 12th house shows the the energy which goes out from you into the organization, the legacy you want to leave behind, how people will know you. It can also show expenses for businessmen, for normal office going employees. It will only show energy dissipation, expenditure of energy, how drained you feel when you work. Okay, now these are the 12 houses. Now we have to interpret these 12 houses with signs and with planets. We will come to that in later series. Uh, Another two to three important uh, signs and where they fall can create an impact. Number one is Virgo, the sign Virgo. Wherever Virgo sign falls, there will be a dispute. So let's say Virgo goes to the ninth house, you will have disputes with your seniors. If Virgo goes to your third house, disputes with your co-workers. Virgo in the fifth house, your intelligence will be under a lot of conflicts. You will think this is right, no, that is right. Confused to some extent. Wherever Scorpio falls, that shows high strategy or high drama or resurrection and regeneration of things. It also shows your reservoir of energy. So if Scorpio falls in the second house, you will talk about strategy. If it falls to your 10th house in the D10 chart, people may not know who you really are. The status, I mean, the public view at your office could be of a mystery around the person. Okay, and so on and so forth. Wherever uh, Gemini falls, friendship occurs. If Gemini goes to the ninth house, you and your bosses will be friends mostly. Now, these things can be altered by planetary placement. So this is a broad overview, but planets can uh, subdue these qualities to a large extent. Wherever Gemini falls, friendship, companionship, happiness, fun. Gemini goes to the third house, a lot of a lot of fun with the colleagues, with the co-workers. Uh, uh, Gemini goes to the sixth house. The opposition will be mostly at play. I mean, you will know who your opposition is, but you guys will have a friendly banter, and you will not harm each other. uh, will not go against the ethics, but you will still compete, and it will be a healthy competition. So sixth house Gemini is a good placement to have. Nine Gemini good, third Gemini good. So I mean there will be some lagnas in which Gemini will fall into 3, 9, and 6 in the D10 chart. These are good lagnas. So for Libra it is ninth. So always fun with the bosses. And Aries 3, so fun with the colleagues and co-workers, so on and so forth. Wherever Libra falls, that the scene there is balanced, no problems at all. It is balanced, or you are always focusing to balance it, and you will be able to balance it. So that's a great sign in the D10 chart. Sign, I mean Rashi in the D10 chart. The tough Rashis are Virgo, Scorpio, and also to some extent Capricorn. Wherever Capricorn falls, you will have to work hard. If Capricorn goes to the 10th house of D10 chart, if you are an Aries ascendant person, you have to work really hard to create an image. You will be working on your image automatically. Your image within your organization will become important for you if you are the Aries rising in D10 chart, because Capricorn shows that that is where you are working. If Capricorn goes to the fourth house in the D10 chart, you are working on the environment. Always, if you're a businessman, you are trying to have a good environment at the office. If you are an employee, you are contributing to the work environment. So Capricorn in fourth, good for HRs. So, that means Libra ascendant, good for HR. They can create the balance between work and fun at the office. So this way you have to see different ascendants of the T10 chart. I will go for that. I will take one ascendant at a time and make videos on it. Some planets which can create a difference are, as I said, Saturn. Saturn ka placement in D10 chart becomes important. So if Saturn goes in the Upchayab houses like 3, 6, 10, and 11, it shows growth. More or less, it shows growth in your career. You will keep on growing. Sun becomes the source of your intelligence. So wherever sun sits, the intelligence or your mind will try to uh, enrich that house, or you will think about that. Let's say sun is sitting in the 10th, again you'll think about your image. Sun goes to the third, you will try to think. You will bring your intelligence to your colleagues, help them, and make a good team with them. It goes to the 8th house, you are full on a strategy person. Sun in 8th and D10, strategy underlined multiple times. And now if that person is a strategist, let's say in a cricket team or in a finance company or wherever, he will be a good strategist. But whether he will be a strategist or not depends on the D1, D9, and then D10. But D10 is showing he will be a good one. That's it. But he is that or not, nobody knows. If that person is a small, if that person, let's say, is a is a chef or is a cook who operates the pantry in an office, Sun in the 8th, he will try to strategize the pantry operations to the best of his efforts and try to make it work for all the employees at all times. Keep the things rotating, because Sun shows that your intelligence goes into that house. So there are no good or no bad house placements. Uh, Saturn becomes important. Barring Saturn, there are no good or bad house placements. Every house will show a different thing. 410 axis of the D10 chart again shows possibilities of name and fame within the organization. People will know you if the 410 is well forfeited, and if the D1 chart shows a public life, then 410 will give you a great public life if the 410 has strong planets. Okay, another thing which I always see is that where from which house of D10 is the D1, from which house of D1 is the D10 starting. So let's say if you are a Leo ascendant and D10 is Libra, so that means your third house is becoming the first house of D10, which makes you go into the field of communication, marketing, performance, etc. But because it is Libra in D10, it shows 7, it shows business, it shows independent work. So you are bringing the third house and the Libra energies, and that is how your career is shaping up. Okay, so we have to see these things. Some people have also mentioned that the 10th lord of D1 can also be seen back in the D10 chart. I mean, 10th lord of D1 in the D10 chart. This is what I also see. It gives us some clues. See, it's about predicting in astrology is about assimilating 4 5 standard procedures and then going with the majority of the patterns. And then there is some level of, at some level, you have to keep your knowledge of the current world at play, because if you don't know what is happening in the current world, you can never predict. So that is why people who are only into some kind of spiritual or religious work and they also do astrology, they end up being average predictors, and they end up being good people for remedies, because they don't know what this planet will help you do, whether this will help you become a blogger or a cryptocurrency trader. But if you go to them for with a problem, they can say, ki, okay, you do this mantra or you do this upaya, and that will help you solve this problem. So they are more into remedial measures and less into predictive measures. Somebody who knows the world very well, who's out there, who understands, who has friend circles of varied individuals or a lot of clients, and who knows what is happening in at least his or her country, can predict very well, because then he will know, okay, this kind of a placement give that person a job in an automobile company, and I'm seeing a similar placement for a guy who's just starting off his career, and he can go into that kind of company as well. So if he's able to draw the lines correctly, he can predict. That is why they say it will take you at least 30 years of practice, or at least living with astrology, to see the life cycles, see the entire Saturn transit at least, and see other life cycles, dashas and tadashas, people growing up, doing different kind of jobs, getting married, having kids, not having kids, getting divorced, to get a fair idea of what placements are giving what results in the today's world. So experience is the key. So yeah, this is my analysis of this is how I analyze, not analysis, but how I analyze the T10 chart. And remember, this is just the basic overview. We will be doing one chart, one lagna each, and we will go to each house of that lagna. Let's say Aries, then the second house becomes Taurus. What does it do? Third becomes Gemini. What does it do? That will give you around 40 to 50% of understanding of your D10 chart, but it will still be incomplete, because we cannot do a video on the planets placed and the aspects falling. For that to happen, the entire chart has to be seen. And that is where, when people say, I just have one question to ask, you may have one question to ask, but I have to examine the whole chart, right? I can't answer that one question by seeing one planet. I have to see all the planets, all the divisional charts, and the dashas to answer that one question. So it is an equal amount of work on the astrologer's part. So yeah, that's how it is. And very soon I will be starting with the Novansh series, and then the Dashmansh series. Lots of content to make. See you. And if you guys want to reach out to me, a lot of people are asking. So my WhatsApp number is 790-540-1688. Email is theunknownastrologer@gmail.com. I will put it in the description of this video as well. And the best way to reach out is by dropping a WhatsApp message. Thank you. Bye bye.